Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Haynes. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the director of Philadelphia Family Pride. I'm really excited to welcome everyone to tonight's session, family reunion panel for this year's 2022 conference. I am joined by a group of PFP parents, Collage's Angel Martin, as well as some youth who have been involved in both Collage and Philly Family Pride. And our hope for tonight is that we can share some wisdom, hear from each other, and hear hopefully from you about, why groups like Collage and PFP and maybe others, Camp Highlight and others, are important to your family, what we're doing well, and maybe what we can be doing better. So with that, I'd like to do a quick round of introductions, and I'm just going to go to Angel next, and then I'll go to M. So Angel, can you?
Yeah, my name is Angel Martin. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the National Program Director at Collage.
Great. Thanks so much for being here. And Angel's also going to ask some questions with me tonight. M, would you like to go next? And then we'll go to Michaela.
Yeah, hi, I'm Harnett. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a member of Collage.
Awesome. And then Michaela, and then Coyote.
Hi, I'm Michaela Santisi. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a Collage member.
Great.
Hello, I'm Coyote Chatel. I use they, them pronouns.
Thanks for being here, Coyote. And then I didn't say who we were going next, but Katy and then Marc. So Katy, thanks.
Hi, I'm Katy Chatel. I am Coyote's parent. I'm a former PFP board member, perhaps a future one as well. And I'm the development director of Collage and a parent of a Camp Highlight kid. So I've got the trifecta.
Nice. Great. Thanks so much for being here. Marc.
Hi, friends. I'm Marc Berman, he, him. I was chair of PFP many years ago. I don't remember the exact years. And my husband and I have two sons, now aged 20 and 21. Lots of good memories with PFP.
Great. We're looking forward to hearing some of those. Awesome. So we're just going to jump right into some questions. And, we're hoping this will be some like me and Angel asking the group questions and them answering, but then also some questions from the audience. So feel free to put things in the chat or just respond and talk to each other. So we're a small group. That should be pretty doable. All right. So Angel, why don't you start us off with your first question?
All right, thanks, Stephanie. The first question I want to ask everyone is just a general question for anyone to answer, which is how has or is being involved with groups like PFP, groups like Collage or Camp Highlight been important to you and your family?
Who wants to jump in first? Marc.
My story is that we're parents because of PFP. That's the story that I like to tell. Back in 2000, my husband and I were interested in having kids and really didn't know where to go. We didn't know any LGBTQ parents, and the rabbi at our synagogue introduced us to a family, and they told us about PFP. And I remember going there in October of 2020 as a prospective parent at the Germantown Jewish Center and walking in and just being amazed. It was like going to the Emerald City because here there were a room filled with all LGBTQ parents and lots of kids, and everybody was just having a grand time. And I was like, I want this, I want to be a part of that. And we met quite a few people that day and connected with quite a few resources that day. And it really put us on the path to parenthood. So I am forever grateful for this organization and the things that I've learned from it. One last thing is that community is essential, no matter what the challenge or the task is. Nobody can or should do it alone. Everything feels better when you're surrounded with folks that are on the same journey. And I've just learned so much, and seeing parents with older kids and aspiring to that was just so helpful. So that's my wonderful take on PFP.
Thanks, Mark. And I think you said October 2020 when you walked in the synagogue, but I think you meant 2000.
October 2008.
Yeah. And Mark and I started when my kids were 2.5, so like 2009. And Mark, I think, was vice chair then, and then became chair. And I think maybe you were chair 4 years at the beginning of my working with PFP. So Mark and I go way back. Who else? And Angel, feel free to also kind of co-moderate this. I didn't mean to. Okay.
Okay. Hi, I'm Harnett again. I have been involved in collage since I was 9, but then I took a hiatus and then I came back when I was 18. I'm 24 now. And it's been a really important part of my life. I also, when I was really young, did PFP things, and I don't know if this is still a thing, but there was like a newsletter called Out and About that had the name competition for it, and my mom, that was her name, and so she's always like has
Ooh.
some love for that. But it was nice, like even though a lot of the kids were younger when we started getting involved in it, it definitely was a community to be able to show me there was other people like me in this area, which oftentimes, even though I'm living in a place that's like a pretty liberal area, there was no one in my school with family like mine. Um, and then coming to collage, I think, was more beneficial for me as an adult because I found this community that my parents separated. My mom separated when I was 12, and that's why I was so nervous to come back to collage. But having a community where there were so many different other queer families with separation or parents coming out later than in life, or trans parents, there were so many unique stories under this umbrella of what a queer family is. So to have that community that felt like they could understand a piece of me, even if it wasn't the same, was really uplifting. And I'm forever thankful. And I definitely get emotional thinking about my queer spawn family, and that is a community that I can't find anywhere else in my life.
Well, thanks for sharing. I love hearing your story every time. Yeah, Michaela, go ahead.
So I was adopted, and I actually, this is kind of weird. I don't really know what age I was adopted, but I always say I was 2 because I was like probably around the right time. My parents have always like having lesbian parents, always from the beginning wanted me to be around a community the same as my family and everything like that. So I feel like I've been at a lot of Philly Pride events, and I feel like I just grew up with them, so I always had that around. And then my parents took me and my siblings to Provincetown, and that during Family Week, which is a tradition that we share together, we go every year, and it really made me open my eyes up to collage and like the actual organization. And so when I got older, my friends were a part of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And so when I was a freshman in high school, I'm now a senior, I became a part of the collage organization, and being in like a higher seat of, social justice in that aspect, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. Like being in collage, you do a lot of research on your own about certain topics and like trying to open your mind up to different things. And you have a lot of people around you who also are like have the same viewpoints as you, but have different reasonings behind different things that we discuss. And so I feel like, starting out in like with Philly Pride events helped me grow into becoming a collage member. And so it was able to give me like a higher step up, and I'm forever grateful for that. Yeah.
That's great. I love the connection between Philly Family Pride and collage and how it bridged together in your life. That's really beautiful. Cool. Anyone else want to answer this question about how these groups are important in your life?
Are you throwing this open to parents too?
Sure.
I would say all three have been so important. And like Angel said, I feel like all like Collage, PFP, and Camp Highlight being such like small grassroots programs, they very seamlessly work together. And I'm grateful for that, for PFP being in support of the parents, but then considering the whole family, and Collage being there in support of my kid, and also in consideration of the whole family. I first interned with Collage in 2002. As soon as we moved to Philly, I felt like I found community and I found home by getting connected with PFP. Some person I didn't even know said, oh, maybe you want to contact PFP. Someone named Stephanie runs it. And Stephanie like immediately welcomed me into like every activity PFP was doing. And I kind of bashfully asked, can I join the board? And I was just so jazzed to be a part of everything. And that was a gateway to getting back involved with Collage, meeting Jordan, Bud, while being on the PFP board, and finding out about Camp Highlight, and Coyote got to go to Camp Highlight this past summer. So I'm very grateful for all of these affirming programs.
I totally remember when you moved here and emailed us, and it's very salient memory for me. So, and I heard you say about coming back on the board. We'll follow up a conversation on that later. I think one of the other things I wanted to hear from people about, and I think this was a great sort of maybe general conversation, and Marc gave a specific answer, but if folks have like really kind of specific memories of a moment at a PFP or Collage or Camp Highlight event or get together that really made a difference for you, or just kind of really stuck with you in your mind, and if you can maybe share that with us, and Marc, if you have another one, you're welcome to share that. But I guess I'm wanting to hear a little bit more of stories too, of folks like, yeah. So I don't know, Coyote, do you have a story from all the many PFP events that kind of sticks out for you that you'd want to share with us? If not, that's fine, but.
When you stagger it, you actually.
I mean, one of them was Great Wolf Lodge, which I go to when I was like 2, but I couldn't do anything because I was 2 and wasn't allowed to do anything there. Like all the activities were like for older kids. So,
But you
yeah.
remember what do you remember about being there?
I remember like a giant bear on the outside and then one in the lobby.
That's awesome.
It's like big wooden, I think they're wooden statues, right? Like big
Yeah.
wooden statues, yeah.
That's awesome. Coyote, do you have any like favorite memories from Family Week at Collage or Camp Highlight this summer? Or like anything?
I don't know.
No.
You can think about it while other folks are talking. If you come up with something, you can let us know.
It's staggered.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll answer this question while folks are thinking about it. I think before, so my wife and I have twins, and it took us a while before the boys were a little older before we were able to actually like the 4 of us get out of the house together and be at a place at a specific time. Like that was very challenging. It got easier, of course, but and now I'm actually teaching my kids to drive, so there's that. But when they were babies, it was hard. But I remember the first PFP event that we went to was a playground gathering, and it was just so refreshing to see like so many other kids, so many other families. And I actually remember at our first family week when our boys were babies, actually, Michaela's parents pushing the triple stroller. I don't know if you've ever seen that triple stroller with the twins, and then Michaela in the triple stroller going down Commercial Street in P-Town. And it was awesome to be able to be somewhere else at Family Week with so many families, and then also have the Philly connection of like, oh, there's another Philly family, and let's talk, and being able to talk to them. And so that was kind of a big memory for me. Find a picture of that triple stroller. I'm sure there is one. Mark.
One of the PFP events that sticks out for me was for the annual Philly Pride event. Initially, we would march behind a banner during the parade, and it was a little bit challenging to get folks to show up for that because it's a long walk and maybe a little awkward with strollers and whatnot. And so one year, a board member had the idea of getting a trolley that we rented, and we were on a trolley in the Philadelphia Pride Parade, and the turnout from families was just huge and really a lot of fun. And we did that for several years, and I think that really transformed that event for our members. A bunch of families on the trolley throwing candy, sometimes a little bit too hard, out into the crowd. But the kids and the parents really had a lot of fun on that one.
That was great. In fact, there were so many people that not everyone could ride on the trolley. And some people, it was rolling slowly. So people would take turns because it's stop and go parade, like who was on the trolley and who was walking. So that was, thanks for remembering that. And I think Children's Hospital gave us money to sponsor the trolley to pay for it. So that was great.
Don't worry about it, just ignore them.
Other memories? Stories?
One of the things that I feel like it really ties to me, the work of both PFP and COLAGE, is the underlying commitment to anti-racism. And I'm thinking about how the PFP Arts Fest picnic over the years is like evolved more into the honoring of Juneteenth, and being able to create that coalition, and thinking about the inner workings that COLAGE is doing towards anti-racism, and feeling ever more grateful and moved by the coalitions that small organizations are building together and doing the hard work of social justice together, that none of these issues are siloed. So it's not so much a story, but a feeling of, I guess, authenticity and a sense of belonging in all of these organizations that feel like they have connectedness with humanity.
Totally. Yeah, I feel like me personally too, like my own examples and memories of COLAGE are like some of the ones that stick out the most are anti-racism workshops that we took when we were in the high school age group. So I'm glad you brought that up, Katy. Michaela, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is gonna be cheesy, but my favorite memory is probably meeting my friends from like through COLAGE and like the Family Week program at Provincetown. When I got older in like middle school, that's when like people really started to put a lens on my family and like kind of like noticing that it's different from theirs. And so like having like going there and looking at like the kids in my age group, because I went to camp, and like connecting with certain people who also have lesbian moms and also are going through the same things at the same time was really, really helpful. And so it helped us stay in touch, and we're still really good friends as of now, and we'll always forever will be, I hope. But yeah, I wouldn't have met those people if it wasn't for Family Week and COLAGE.
Thanks for sharing that. I think that's a common thread we all feel. You have anything to share on this?
Sure. I've led 2 COLAGE workshops at Philly Family Pride, which has been a great way to meet other facilitators my age, but then also connect with the youth in this area. while it's not necessarily a specific example, sometimes it's the first time that youth has been in a space with other queer spawn, and just we make these family maps, and the time that they were able to share their family maps with each other, the kids are like, wait, you have two dads too? And if they don't know, like that's why they're there, because they all have queer parents. And it's a really cute thing to watch, and also to be able to help facilitate. And how kind of ties into collage a little bit more is one of the facilitators. It was their first collage queer family event at Philly Family Pride. And then later, this is Maya. And then Maya came to Family Week, and it was just kind of a really nice extension of how this big queer family through Philly Family Pride and collage kind of all gets to go to different things together. And we see each other, maybe like a few times a year, but it's some of the most special times for, at least for myself, but that maybe resonates with other people.
Thank you for that. And we're hoping next year to get back to normal PFP conference where we can have childcare and collage programming for older youth and all the stuff that we did pre-COVID. So fingers crossed that will work out.
Also the Winter Fest.
Winter party,
Yeah, the winter party.
formerly New Year's Day, New Year's party, Mark.
Yeah.
We, if we're being honest and it's being recorded, it's fine. I just got tired of working on New Year's Day every year. And so we switched, and a lot of people were out of town and had other plans, and it was the attendance was waning. And so we moved it a couple of weeks later, and it's now like a winter wonderland party or something like that. Yeah. Sorry, Katie, but did you have a specific
Well,
memory?
we have a lasting memory from that actually is another crossover between the organizations, which is Coyote learned a rubber band trick at that one of those winter parties where we hired the magician. Coyote also helped me with the raffle baskets that year. And once again, I'm bringing a raffle basket tomorrow to the PFP conference, and Coyote's going to help me carry things from the car, right? And then this summer at Collage and the workshops, Coyote in the performance, the kids, what was it, Em? Kids
The
Cabaret?
variety show.
The variety show?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were doing the rubber band trick that you learned at PFP.
Yeah. That was like one of my favorite acts, I think, of the variety show. MC'd it.
Yeah, Coyote, that was amazing. You did a great job. Very entertaining.
And we have it on video. So now we can all go back and watch and be like, I can't believe they did that with the rubber band, and just get surprised every time.
Yeah, that was January 2020. It was one of our last in-person events before things shut down. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, thank you all for sharing for this question. My next small little two questions are specifically for the queer spawn, the collagers that are on the panel. So the first question of this two-part question is, do you identify with the word, or do you identify as queer spawn or collager, either one? And what is that like for you if you do, or if you don't, what's that like for you? Yeah, go ahead, Michaela.
I feel like, at least I use the word collager more. I think that's just because I was very young when I first went into the programming, and I would just hear, you're a collager. And once I learned what that was, I was like, oh yeah, like I am a collager, 100%. And but my parents, they use queer spawn. So like both of the terms I can use, but collager is the one that sticks with me the most, just because I feel like this might be like silly, but like I feel like I'm younger. I feel like more like younger kids or something like use collages more. I know like my siblings do, and like some of our friends who also have LGBTQ parents use collages more as like a term. But then like my parents and then their parents use queer spawn. So it really just depends. But I personally use Collager whenever I'm like explaining to my family or anything like that.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. Em or Coyote, do you have an answer to this?
I
Yeah.
can go. I use the word queer spawn. I am queer, and I think that is maybe partly why I feel so connected to it as well. Like to say I'm second generation queer spawn, like second gen. I know we say that all the time, and like it is something that feels like I had been searching for a word that felt like it encompassed me growing up as culturally queer and kind of what that meant. And it is besides my own identity of being queer, but I have always felt, you know, growing up with two moms and in a home where it is so like being surrounded by like lesbians and bisexuals is a really different way of growing up than a lot of my peers. And so to have that word, I always felt very connected to it, which my moms don't necessarily feel the most comfortable with the word queer, um, because they are a lot older and there's like certain feelings they have with it. They're fine that I identify as queer spawn, but I I don't know, it feels very liberating for me. And I mean, I also say I'm a collager too, but when I'm talking to folks about my identity, saying I'm queer spawn is something that is really important to me.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. A follow-up for our collagers on the panel before we go back to general questions is what is the hardest part about being a collager, and then what's the best part about being a collager?
I feel like, well, starting with the best, um, I feel like having a different family structure makes, at least made my mindset completely different than like my peers and like my friends. I always started out kind of thinking about others first, and that I'm not saying that's just because of like having two gay moms, but I feel like having them, you know, teach me certain things and certain life lessons, I was able to look at the world a little bit differently. I noticed like, okay, my family isn't the same as others, but then I started realizing, okay, well, here's my, like, I started just like comparing um just like social aspects, and like having two moms is the reason why um I'm so connected with Collage as the program, and like wanting to continue up with social justice and like speaking up for others when they don't have the chance to. I feel like my parents really taught me how to do that in a really respectful way. And it really all started with them, just having them open me up to like different possibilities, different families, different communities, especially when I am the only African American person in my family. And so having them give me certain outlets to explore my own identity and myself was really helpful. And then something that's a little negative is just I don't know, just people. I mean, just having this like set vision on how something should be when it's just not. And I mean, now I can kind of joke around about it, but at the time, like it was very hurtful, um, because at the end of the day, it's my family. I mean, no one chose, like I didn't choose to have the family that I have. Like it's just how it is, and I wouldn't change it for anything. But at the time, like people not having the education that I had was very frustrating. So that was probably the one negative thing. But everything else I absolutely love, and I absolutely love my family.
Thanks for sharing that, Michaela. Any other collagers want to answer what the hardest thing is and the best thing is about being a collager?
Coyote, do you want to go or do you want me to go? I'll go. Okay. I'm gonna start with the worst part, I guess. I think when I was younger, being in the school system was really hard. The counselor at my elementary school didn't want to say the word gay. Like, it's like, oh my God. Like, and so to have this family that was the word you can't talk about, like, was the children's book you can't read. I donated And Tango Makes Three to the library when I was in 3rd grade and it was rejected the first time, you know, and this is in a school district it was Lower Merion School District. Like, it's a pretty um, liberal kind of area. And I think that was the worst part for me. It was like this wake up call of, you know, people hiding behind Democratic lawn signs, but not being able to talk about the reality of my family was really hard for me. And then growing up, I think the most challenging part for me is kind of with relationships, romantically or with friends. There's this cultural aspect of having queer parents and growing up in a queer home and what I did experience within my education system, that sometimes it feels hard for um, me to connect with people who have heterosexual parents, just because it does feel like a very individual experience that my queer spawn friends and collagers understand to a different degree. And I can feel that energy in that space. And it's so much different when I'm just in a different kind of setting. And so I think that is the most challenging part for me right now as I'm navigating like young adulthood. And then the most rewarding part of being a collager is I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, I think it is so special to have parents. I mean, one of my moms is 76 and the other one is 63. And so to have gay parents that were out and wanting to have a kid and were so powerful, I feel, was really inspiring to me. And, you know, like Michaela said, it's, you kind of learn how to stick up for people in a way that is kind of ingrained within you sometimes, at least in my experience. Like, I felt I was able to go into school and have conversations about people being bullied, whether it was me or myself or other people. And yeah, I'm really thankful that I have queer parents, and I really wouldn't change that. I think it's a really unique experience, and I think it has provided me with a community that is so embracing and welcomes advocacy in a way that I haven't experienced anywhere else.
Thank you, what a beautiful answer. Thank you, Michaela, too. Both of those were very insightful, and I think were great for all of us to hear.
And you can tell your mom who came up with Out and About, that was brilliant for the newsletter, and that we dropped it, but in 2019. So it was there for a long time. When we changed logos and then the logo that we had before. And anyway, that was part of the freshen up of the newsletter, but it was there for a long, long time.
I'll let her know.
Yeah. And we maybe, now that you're saying it, maybe we should go back to that. I think we might need to. Yari, did you want me to read your question or do you want to ask it?
Oh, I mean, let me get my audio. I think it's working again.
Yeah.
Hi, you all. So lovely to see some familiar faces. Yeah, so my question's a classic. Oh, real fast. I'm Yari, they, them, theirs. I'm white and Jewish identified out trans non-binary person located in Lenape Lands, New York City. And my question, so I'm a prospective parent hoping, fingers crossed, in the coming year to be adopting older kids from foster care, probably tween or teen in age, maybe even a sibling pair. That's a current conversation I'm having with my agency. I'd love to ask for advice, either from folks who grew up in LGBTQ identifying families, from experienced parents. It's classic, but I suspect I and many other prospective parents will be watching this video. So really appreciate any thoughts. Thank you all.
I'll give you just my general advice that I tell all soon to be parents, is that nobody knows what they're doing at first. Like, that is, no matter what age, no matter how you come into parenting or when, like, maybe somebody who's been a nanny for 20 years or 10 years or something, maybe they know more, but like, it's still different when it's your kid. And so I think that helped me when someone said that to me, because I was like, oh, I don't actually have to be an expert on this. I can trial and error, you know, learn as you go, just like every other parent is doing. And whether that's learning to change a diaper or learning to get your kid to do homework, or, you know, whatever the thing is, like, I think it's a similar thing. So Marc, do you have any parenting advice?
Yeah, that's a great question. And my family's formed by adoption as well. And it's a wonderful way to come together. I think that what was helpful is connecting with folks that are on a similar path. PFP was a good resource to do that. If someone was looking to form their family in a specific way, or with specific age children, there's usually members that fall into that category that someone could connect with and sort of pick their brain and have a more in-depth conversation with. So Yari, I don't know you know, where you are in New York, but if you can find a community that's similar to what you're looking for, and folks I've always found are very, myself included, we're eager to share our story and what's worked and what's been challenging, and help, you know, the next generation come along. So I think that you'd find a lot of open arms for people that would want to help provide as much information as they possibly could.
Am I allowed to jump in as a queer spawn person? Okay. I was donor conceived, so I'm not on the adoption side of being a collager, but something I've noticed is the theme of honesty. I think it's really important for parents to be honest about their family makeup. Like, if I wasn't aware that I had a donor from a young age, I think it could have gone pretty poorly. Or if I wasn't given all the information that they had when I asked questions, I think it would have led to a lot of conflict in my family. I'm really fortunate to, you know, my parents said they had special ingredients to make me when I was like, well, I don't have a dad. And they were like, the special ingredients. Later, I found out it was sperm. But it, you know, they told me eventually of like, once I could start understanding. And so especially for donor conceived youth, I think it's really important that parents are honest. And if there is open ID, to get that, because when I was conceived, it was far and few in between, just because of medical history too, like figuring that out. I mean, I don't want a relationship with my sperm donor. That's never been something for me. I don't even want to see a picture, but because of my medical issues, I'd love to be able to get more insight and things like that. So I just really think transparency and honesty is really important.
Katy or Michaela, do you have any advice for Yari?
I think Eb really said it all. I think that was such a really good answer. I think honesty is the best policy.
I think something to the effect of like, the days are long and the years are short, like that whole thing, like just trying to weather the moment to moment and not have that be a reaction of the full picture, and trying to take a step back for the full picture when you need to maybe reevaluate about things. But there are going to be moments that are very hard, and there are going to be moments that are really rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah, on that, actually, when you said that, Katy, on the long days, short years, that is definitely true. I mean, the 0 to 4 felt like 25 years long. And since then it just sped up, you know, it's really sped up. And that's speaking as someone who homeschools and spends a lot of time with my kids all day. But one of the things that I do every year, and I have done since the boys were born is annually I do a photo album for the family, and it's a gift for the grandparents, and we make a copy for ourselves, but it's a kind of a year in review of the boys. And it's fewer and fewer pictures, but there's still like a story of what did we do this year. And it's I think if you ask me before I do the photo album, I'm like, I feel like we didn't really do anything this year or go anywhere. And then I do the photo album, I'm like, oh, right. We went to see my mom in Virginia. We went to Provincetown Family Week. We went to camping. And then like when I see all the photos, I'm like, oh, it does, like to Katy's point, like help you put the bigger picture of the year and your kids' lives and your life as a family in perspective versus focusing on the, hard week when we all had a cold and everybody was mad at each other or whatever. Yeah. So.
If I can chime in, I guess the questions moving towards just parenting in general. What I found is in the early years, it felt much more important to educate our kids around LGBTQ issues and our family structure. And as the years go on, it becomes less about that type of parenting and moves to just plain old parenting and sort of the ups and downs that come with it. I think, my advice is that you can't love your kids enough. You can't show them enough that you love them. That is the foundation from which all else will move from. If you have that strong foundation of love and connection, you're able to weather the inevitable storms that are going to come with being a parent and being a child. I think about that as, as LGBTQ folks, when we were younger, what did we want the most? What do we still all want as people? We want to be loved. So, as much as we can show our kids that we're there for them 100%, there's no one thing you do or don't do in parenting that makes things good or bad. So it's a process. And if you have a strong foundation, you will get through it. And it's really a gift to be in a family like ours. I joke with my kids, like anybody can grow up in a straight family. Our families are really wonderful. And we just have a special way of doing things. So it really is a gift.
Thanks for that, Mark. Yeah, I mean, and I'll just maybe amend that since Yara, your question was about teenagers and tweens and the present teenagers and tweens or young adults can correct me if I'm wrong, but teenagers don't always act like they want that love and attention. But my experience so far is that they still need it and still do want it. It's just how you show it is different. So it's maybe is not as much physical lovey-dovey and definitely not baby talk. But, making a sandwich for my son, like is my, love language, or watching the movie he wants to watch, or, those things where it's still like the need is still there. It's just that how you deliver maybe isn't the same as when, you have a 5-year-old or something.
There's nothing like hearing, do you want me to fold your laundry for you today? It's like, you just like, so good.
Great example.
Yeah.
Ours is a lot about food with 2 teenage.
I feel like I'm still learning this every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I can also chime in on this very briefly too. Just being a young adult. I feel like one of the best things my mom did for me was like giving me as much autonomy as she could, and within reason and safety and whatever. But yeah, just like following my mind when making decisions and like always being there to support me and make sure that it was, a safe decision or give her input if if it felt right, but like she wasn't really a parent that was like, I'm going to tell you to do this thing because I think it's best. It was more like, what do you think, Angel? And like, let's talk about this. And I really, really appreciated that. And I think it is a model for how I would want to be as a parent one day.
That's great. Other comments or questions? Any? I mean, I think we can do one more question, which is how could, for everyone who's on the call, including the folks who are the participants registered to the conference, how could Philly Family Pride Collage better? What could we be doing better? Like, what could we be doing better to serve your family? And maybe it's, you know, Mark, is there anything we could be doing for your family who has 20-year-olds? Are there things for the older youth, or Coyote, if you have ideas for things? And again, for either group, I would love to hear, just since we have this opportunity, feedback on what we could be doing that we're not doing.
Okay, say that.
More bagels.
Coyote's remembering that at the in-person PFP conference, there were bagels.
That is excellent advice. I don't know that we're going to be able to have bagels for tomorrow, but let me tell you what we are having: street side barbecue that we had at Juneteenth, which was awesome, A+ catered lunch. And then for folks who there's a couple gluten-free options there. And then for vegan, we're having Goldie falafel, which is falafel, just awesome falafel, and salads. And for there's desserts too. There's brownies and cookies with the street side barbecue, and then there's vegan Oreos for the folks who are vegan. So bagels, I'll make a note though for the winter party, we'll have bagels. How's that? We had rainbow bagels one time. Are you thinking of those too?
I remember those.
Mm-hmm. All right, more bagels. What else?
Yeah, this question also could be like, what are the things that PFP and Collage are already doing that you'd want to see more of as well, if you can't think of anything brand new?
I like that framing. That's good.
I like the opportunities for like intimate neighborhood meetups, so that people have the opportunity to meet people who are in close enough proximity that it feels feasible to get together frequently.
Maybe this exists and I totally have not seen it, but I'd love maybe like a TikTok for Philly Family Pride or something like that, to get my age group a little bit more involved. I mean, I know other people that have queer parents in the area now, or people closer to my age that are thinking about building a family, which is like people that I'm close to, you know. And I think it could be a great way to outreach to. I feel like Angel and I fall into a weird age group almost of like we're not in the teens and we're not in the little kids anymore, but we still have gay parents and we're queer, and it would be awesome to have our community in there somehow.
So what happened was that I downloaded TikTok and I got overwhelmed and I deleted it. Also, I was trying to not look at my phone so much, and it felt like it was just like a vortex, like it was just going to suck my face right into the screen. I don't know, but I'm sure I don't have to be the one to do it. We can
I will
delegate
gladly
that.
collaborate if you would like TikTok
Awesome.
collaboration.
Yes, please.
I know that like on the social media board, we're trying to do a TikTok or like come up with ideas. So I know it's already kind of like in the process of having it become an idea. But I think your comment really made that like a spark. So I hope it happens too, because I thought it was a really good idea as well.
Coyote just said they also want to go skiing.
Great. We have done one time, I think we did a ski trip, but we could do another like day trip. There's lots of close by places.
Yeah, I love the comment in the chat about college tours as LGBTQ families. I feel like that's an amazing idea. I would have loved to tour colleges with other queer spawn, because I feel like that's the point. That was the point in my life where I was like, okay, like now I get all this freedom, and I'm really gonna like get into like, I know that there's a very present queer community at this college. We're coming from growing up in like a more conservative high school, and then being like, wait, and at that point I still identified as straight, and I was like, but I've been queer my whole life, my family's queer, and like, where do I fit in? And like, if I had known queer spawn in my college or even touring colleges with me, I feel like that would have made a world of a difference.
Yeah, I definitely wrote that down, and that sounds like another opportunity for a PFP collage collaboration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The PFP camping trips are great too. That's where we met Michaela's family.
Yeah, and we talked about, and I'll just throw this out since I want to remember this idea in the future, and I will be rewatching this. Doing more to get more Philly families to Family Week, and having I don't know, maybe like an information session. I think Katy, you and I maybe talked about this, where we help people plan like now-ish, December, January, and talk them through if, the financial aspects of it and camping, and just to help people who maybe think it doesn't feel attainable for them to go, to figure out going to Family Week. Carpooling, yeah.
I agree with that, Stephanie. And also Angela and I are working hard to expand the Family Week opportunities to be family weekends in other parts of the country, because it is very hard to get to Provincetown.
Right. I mean, we're on the edge of drivability, I feel like, but if you're, yeah, I love that idea. That's great.
Yeah, there's another really good idea in the chat about like an internal kind of like shared list of people who are willing to meet each other. I know for collage, we have our Discord, which is only for queer spawn. And so that's a way to like connect virtually. But I really love that idea about like people being able to maybe even meet up in person. And something we've been trying to do, and I know Em is maybe gonna do this, is have like regional like meetups for adult queer spawn, maybe like 16 or 18 or older. And it's like really, really casual. Like Em would organize the Philly one, right? And then we would just post it on our socials. PFP could post it on theirs, and whoever comes, and it's like an hour or two. It's not like a facilitation thing, but I feel like that's a really good place to start on meeting up in person outside on nice days, because I know everyone is craving that after the lockdowns that we've been through.
Also
Yeah.
thinking, oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead. Go.
I was just thinking about, how Family Week in Provincetown is pretty inaccessible for a lot of folks, but if there's other like pride groups in different cities of maybe like group renting houses, like Philly Family Pride would rent a house in P-Town, and have like maybe a bus or something that goes up there. I feel like that could be a little more cost effective. I don't know, just throwing it out.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And then I see Nat in the chat about the PFP like groups in other communities. Of course, there's the Family Equality, which is the national group. But I mean, there are several groups in Pennsylvania that are just Facebook groups only, and just some person, and maybe this is you, Nat, to start a Facebook group that's, if there's not already one, North Carolina LGBT parents or something like that, and then people will join, and then you can just find each other that way. And then I think, there's a Harrisburg group that's like that. There's a State College area group that's like that in Pennsylvania, where they don't have an official nonprofit, they don't have a staff, they don't have a board, but they just have a Facebook group or maybe it's a TikTok thing or whatever social media it is, or a hashtag on Instagram or something, where people can find each other that way. So, and I'm, obviously very happy to help any kind of, questions you have about doing that, or mentor anybody who wants to set up their local group. And there may be one, you never know. They might just be needing to be a little more hidden than we are here. So. Great. Well, I see we're nearly out of time. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who joined tonight, to the youth, and to Coyote, who maybe is off doing something else, to Marc, who I haven't seen in a long time. So good to see your face. And especially to Angel and Collage for collaborating on this. Really, really appreciate you all always, but especially right now. Just really quick, I mentioned the Smith Playground event is tomorrow. For folks who registered, you should have gotten that information in your email about where to go, but it's Smith Memorial Playground in Fairmount Park. And then I also have the eval that I want to paste into the chat, and panelists can also fill out the eval, because it does help us figure out what went well with this, what can we do next time to make this a better event for everyone. So thanks again.